creatively detangling. All right, let's talk about the next tangle in the series, and that is the tangle of right. And what do I mean by right? And what does it mean to detangle it? I'm going to explore that today, as well as my own kind of journey through what it means to be in this tangle. And the first thing I want to share is that when it comes to the right tangle, it's not about being right, right? It's about getting it right, back to our principles. And I think for me, I have to keep reminding myself that it's an interesting tangle for me because I want to be right, uh, and that tangles me up. Um, and then, because I want to be right, I don't know what to do to get it right. So I'm going to detangle that today. So if I were to summarize it, it would be this. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation, but in the creative space that I work in, with operators, um, building content, building courses, building stuff for them, it ends up sometimes being in a bring me a rock mode. Hey, what we really need to do is dot dot dot, and I would, okay, well, let's try it this way. No, not that way. Bring it to me a different way. No, not that way. It's kind of like asking for a rock. Go find me a rock. Somebody brings it back. No, that's not the one. That won't work. Bring me a rock. Somebody goes and looks for the rock, brings it back. No, not quite right. Keep looking. Bring another one. No, don't like that. Bring me another one. Don't like that. It could go on forever. And that's what it feels like in this tangle, is this idea that you're not quite sure if you're making progress on quote unquote getting it right. So it can be frustrating, and it could be, a little bit of a downer to constantly be in a loop of, no, 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 no. But what if that's not the tangle at all? What if the tangle's not about being right, yes or no, or being right or being wrong, but it's in the process? So in other words, it's not about bring me a rock, it's about we need to get it right. Bring me a rock is, and perceiving it as, a bring me a rock is about this need to get it right. I don't know what the rock is. I want to be in charge of the rock and declaring if the rock is good. I need to be right. So I'm going to delegate, go get me a rock. I'm not sure what I mean by that, but just keep bringing it to me because I'll know it when I see it. And my thought is, let me judge, let me analyze, let me, clarify. And then, that's a tangled feeling because you don't know if you're making progress. And it's like, what's really happening here? It's like, am I getting it right or not? And that's different, because the idea of engaging in the creative process to get it right is taking direction, or understanding what the results are so we can focus, trusting that the process is going to work out for the good of the right people, and the good of the client, and the outcome is going to be something that's valuable. And then it's this idea of accepting people's perspective and their inputs and factoring those in. And it's not about judging, it's about factoring it in. So it ends up being in this tangle. What's my role in getting to right? And I'm not sure if I'm getting it right. So do I just keep going? Do I stop? Do I wait for feedback? What do I do next? Do I need to call? Do I need to follow up? Right? What do I need to do to get it right? And it comes down to kind of two perspectives in this tangle. What is it to get it right? Get what right? And then what do we mean by right? So what is it and what is right? So to approach this tangle, it requires me to really be open-minded and be less binary and less black and white, to think about, maybe I don't know what I don't know, or maybe I don't have all the information, or maybe I need to learn something about the situation and challenge, and kind of provide a little bit more of a curious lens to the perspective to the situation. So what is it that we are working on, and then what helps, what provides momentum or provides positive energy or helps others engage. What if that's the definition of right, is providing an input only, or providing a positive encouragement, or drawing a stick figure out with a talk track. That's, what if that's right? It doesn't feel like it with my business suit on, but I could see the power of it as we engage in our creative process. And one of my favorite quotes of all time is a Teddy Roosevelt quote. I came across this when I became an officer in the military, and this quote really helped me take action. It said, Teddy Roosevelt said, in any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The next best thing is the wrong thing. And the worst thing you can do is nothing. And this has really driven a lot of my approach, to say, okay, what's the right thing? What's the next best thing? And then, how do I avoid not doing anything? But in that view, I've kind of gotten tangled, because what is the right thing? What is the right thing? What is the right thing? And I've had to learn to try to reframe that, because if I think in terms of right and wrong, and this is what Catalyst calls me out on all the time, it's not about right and wrong. But if I'm focused on right and wrong, I'm focused on what is the truth or what is not the truth, and then am I bringing harm to others or not? And it comes down to, if you think about it, the burden of being right is, what is truth? And in the space we're working in, what is truth? And that space of what is true, who says it's true, and then also, how do we engage in a space that in a way that helps people come to the realization of what is true. And let's say at growth enablement, we define sales and marketing truth. Just that thinking automatically puts us in a space of helping people see something completely different. And I like to think of it that way. Let's say we define truth in sales and marketing. And does that mean everybody else is wrong? It kind of does. So how do we help them detangle that? And how do we help them see? And one of the things that we've talked about is stratification. Are we doing the right things? Well, what is the right thing? And then, are we doing those things right? And that's the tangle. What's the right thing? And are we doing it right? And when it comes to taking action and putting myself out there, am I doing it right? Am I focused on the right things? It's a stratification question. And the reason why this is important is because doing the right things asks me to focus on, what do I think is true? What do I think is true about salespeople? What's my perspective of them? What do I think is true about sales process or sales and marketing, quote unquote, alignment? What about sales enablement professionals and the function of sales enablement? What do I think is true about CEOs and investors? What do I think is true about teams or behaviors? What do I think is true about me? Right? These are deep questions that can lead to a lot of perspective that I share and show up with in how I engage. What about sales and marketing alignment and the commercial system? What is true about that? And we're putting out a commercial ratio to try to illuminate what is true about it, because this ratio indicates how well the company's engine is running. This is the truth, and it's interesting how many people reject it. I had an interesting encounter where, the Captain Sullenberg American Airlines flight that ended up in the Hudson River. Everybody's crash landing into the river, and what happens is, it becomes very clear that both engines are on fire from a bird strike. You look out the windows, and we're descending, and the captain comes on and says, brace for impact, and here goes all the flight attendants. They're telling everybody to brace for impact, and asking them to put their life jackets on. And a third of the airplane didn't put on their life jackets. They refused to put on their life jackets. And the truth is, they're going in the Hudson. And the truth is, the authority figures asked them to do it. But if you look at the pictures of the airplane, and people standing on the wing, not everybody has their life jackets on. So when faced with this fundamental truth of we're crashing and we are at risk, and our authority is asking us to put these on, the truth gets rejected. And there's a lot of tangle in that. So what does it come down to? If I'm trying to do the right things and do those things right, it's a choice. Things are either right or wrong because I choose to see it that way. And I'm more wired on the negative side to see what's wrong. And that's impossible to engage in stone soup. Stone soup, if I focus on that tangle of being right or trying to get it right and burdening myself with it, I don't engage in stone soup. I'm not open. I'm not asking myself, and I need to flip it, and to engage in stone soup, I need to, think about what it means to participate and to get it right, to follow our principles of getting right. How do I show up with an open mind? And what can I learn about myself? How can I share what I'm seeing, the observations that I have? How do I focus on the outcomes? What's my orientation to this situation? Is it positive or negative? Is it growth mindset or fixed? And then what's the, my bias? And am I being objective about this? Am I being open to hearing what other people believe is true? And that requires a lot of patience, and it also requires active listening, and it also requires a lot of curiosity to figure out how to detangle this right tangle. And so when I feel this way of being overwhelmed and kind of burdened by pursuing, quote unquote, the right thing, or finding myself in a position where I have to be right, I think what we came up with as a team was, okay, look, in this tangle of trying to get it right, why don't you ask somebody to react and see what they say? Why don't you ask open-ended questions? Let's try open-ended questions. Let's take a step back and take a deep breath and ask what's realistic. Is the commercial ratio a good indicator of the commercial health or not? And take some time to reflect on that and come up with an answer of believing in it or not. And don't take it so seriously. This is not life or death. I gave a life or death example of the Hudson River, and we're not in that position. We're in a position of providing what's possible. So the idea of pursuing what's right and trying to get things right is a positive thing if we flip it. And so the right tangle becomes, how do we flip to the positive and detangle our stress and anxiety about being right, and more about let's engage in a process so that we emerge to the best possible answer. And that's what our definition of right will be at the time. And trust the process. So that's the key here. It's definitely about principle number 7. This detangling myself from being right and getting it right is about trusting the process, number 4. And the process is, we go through together and we observe and share, and we're curious, and getting people's reaction helps fuel that. So that's today's detangler on getting it right. Look forward to your feedback.